The developers behind the Dakota Access Pipeline, otherwise known as DAPL, are pushing aggressively to finish construction of the pipeline. Now, in order to do so, they need a crucial easement for the pipeline to cross under the Mississippi River. Now, in order to do that, they need the necessary permits in which they do not have. However, in a push to finish the Dakota Access Pipeline, its developers claimed in a federal lawsuit Tuesday that they have all permits needed to complete the project and accused the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers of political interference to delay it. Now, what do they have against the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers? Well, the Corps has said it wants to consider further the concerns of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe that the pipeline poses grave risks to its water supply and sacred sites. Fair enough. They're just saying, look, we want to do, some proper examination to ensure these people don't have to end up dealing with tainted drinking water in the future. And of course, the developers behind the Access Pipeline are not happy about this.
Yeah, so I get it. Every day that they delay, they cost them a little bit of money, and money is their God. Mm-hmm. To them, that's what's sacred. And too bad they don't have the permit yet from the Army Corps of Engineers. But apparently they brought in the drills. They seem very certain that they're going to go forward. I get it. Trump won. But what drives me crazy about this story, and there are a lot of parts of it that are disturbing, is the reaction of the North Dakota officials and the cops. So even though drilling right now would mean that the company is breaking the law, and there are other good reasons to believe that they are on questionable legal grounds, they always assume that the peaceful protesters are the lawbreakers.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And look, video after video shows that the protesters are there peacefully. They're not trying to cause problems. They're practicing their First Amendment rights in protesting the development of this pipeline. And they're met with rubber bullets. They're met with pepper spray. We have some more video evidence of that later on in this story. But our field reporter, Jordan Sheridan, wanted to touch base with, the
Army Corps of Engineers?
Yes, the Army Corps of Engineers, and kind of confirm what's going on. And so he emailed them and said the following: what is the Army Corps of Engineers, this is graphic 4, what is the Army Corps of Engineers reaction to Energy Transfer Partners CEO telling PBS they will finish the pipeline despite lack of permits to do so? This comes after the company said on November 11th they have no choice but to finish despite the lack of drilling permits under the lake. Well, the Army Corps of Engineers responded and said the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers cannot speak for DAPL about their construction plans. The pipeline company has not been granted the easement by the Corps that is required before any horizontal drilling beneath federal lands at Lake Oahe can begin. So, again, there's some confirmation right there that they do not have the necessary permits, but they're still going to move forward with the construction without the proper permits.
Yet, Governor Dalrymple of North Dakota arises from his slumber and says that it is the protesters that are the rule breakers, and we must have law and order in our state. And then the Morton County Sheriff's Department says that he says, quote, this is about the rule of law. Our objective is to isolate unlawful actors from committing unlawful acts. Well, it appears there's a giant unlawful actor right behind you as you're facing the protesters and your Sheriff's Department officers are facing that way. Behind you, there's a CEO saying, I don't really care what this president says. I'm going to go forward anyway. But yet you don't seem to care about that. And that CEO is saying, hey, maybe I'll cover your costs, cops.
That's exactly right. Okay, so there's a financial component of it. There's, a financial component that encourages the cops to take some of the brutal actions that they've taken against the protesters. Now, going back to the CEO, Cenk, maybe the question now is, what will the ramifications be for the Energy Transfer Partners of Dallas, those are the developers behind the pipeline, if they move forward with the construction without the proper permits? Well, it seems like they're emboldened by the fact that Donald Trump is now our president-elect. In fact, Kelcy Warren has spoken about this and has specifically mentioned how, Donald Trump is his homeboy because he's invested in the project. So Trump is going to obviously profit from this as well. Let's go to video number 2.
We will get this easement and we will complete our project. Energy Transfer Partners CEO Kelcy Warren is confident a Donald Trump presidency means his company's controversial Dakota Access Pipeline will be completed.
Once he takes over January 20th, what are the prospects?
Oh, it's 100%.
100% that
The easement gets granted and the pipeline gets built.
The president-elect has minor holdings in Warren's company, and Warren donated $103,000 to Trump's campaign.
Have you spoken to Donald Trump about the pipeline?
I've never met the man.
You've never met him?
No.
But he's invested in you and you're invested in him.
Well, I wish him well.
I bet you do. And he wishes you well because he's going to make money off of you. I believe that this is the kind of corruption that Donald Trump was talking about on the campaign trail.
Weird.
Huh.
Did he renege on his promises to end corruption?
So I like this guy. He's like, oh, I'm 100% certain. Why? I gave him $100,000. He's got money in my company. What do you think? Of course I'm certain because I rigged it ahead of time. Crooked Donald, perhaps. Isn't it amazing that he's not putting the money in a blind trust? Right there, one of his first decisions is going to be ruling on a company that he has money in. Insanity. Well, I thought you were going to drain the swamp, Donald Trump. What happened? Looks like you're not draining the pipeline, the swamp, or anything else. All you're doing is taking money and put it in your pocket and crushing people in your path.
Now, while it's pretty clear that the developers are going to move forward with the Dakota Access Pipeline without the proper permits, the developers continue to blame the protesters for not following the law or for being violent, which is absolutely ridiculous. So let's go ahead and talk to or watch a report by Jordan Sheridan. This is video number 5, which shows what's happening with the cops and their actions against the protesters. Take a look.
The police here, as I've been saying, they are cleaning up. They're getting overtime. They're making all sorts of money, and the state of North Dakota, the government of North Dakota, recently got an additional grant of, I think, $4 million approximately to fund this militarized police force. It's not only an attempt to intimidate, it's really an attempt to harass. There's no reason to have billy clubs out. There's no reason to have pepper spray out. But the police have essentially been allowed to operate with carte blanche by the governor here. Officer, what do you have the pepper spray for? Just curious. Yeah, they're not answering. So apparently there's a need for pepper spray in response to hundreds of peaceful protesters.
That woman holding the cross did look pretty intimidating.
Yeah. Who are the bad guys here? Like, I know a lot of you pro cops, pro, corporations. Let's go multinational corporations. The CEO we heard from is worth $3.9 billion. Let's go billionaires, right? Right wing loves to protest in favor of those guys, apparently. But when you've got the stormtroopers out there, look, the cops are following orders. I know it's not always an excuse. It's the governor that's making the decisions and working with the corporations, et cetera. And they're middle-class guys, those cops. But, I mean, when you put on the giant stormtrooper outfit and you've got your mask on and you've got all your weapons on and you see people with prayer sticks and crosses and stuff, and you feel good about that? Is that you're like, yes, let's go crush some peaceful protesters. I've got my stormtrooper mask on and I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Like, who looks like the good guys and the bad guys there? But they don't see it. They look at it and they go, those heavily militarized guys are protecting the peace.
Yeah.
And the peaceful protesters that are praying are the real problems in this country.
Think about all of the various obstacles that stand in the way of these peaceful protesters. First of all, there's the issue of the media not covering this story. You don't see any coverage of it. Maybe a little tiny bit of a mention on some mainstream media outlets about it, but overall, there's no in-depth reporting on this issue. So that works against the peaceful protesters. At the same time, that allows those who are, part of these corporations to basically take hold of this narrative and spread this narrative that the protesters are violent and they're dangerous, and it just keeps getting, spread all over social media, and people just, they get turned into like these violent people when all they want to do is protect their drinking water. All they want to do is make sure that there are proper precautions taken and proper examinations taken before the construction is finished. And then finally, you also have the militarization of the police force. intimidating the protesters from practicing their First Amendment rights. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, so Governor Dalrymple goes further, and he's blaming the federal government. As CEO Kelcy Warren says, hey, maybe I'll pay the cost that the cops have in North Dakota. That's his way of like saying, hey, I already bribed Trump. Maybe I'll bribe you guys by giving you guys more money. And they're saying, well, you know, we don't know if we'll accept that. But the governor says, but the real culprit here is the federal government, because it's partially responsible for costs incurred to maintain public safety because of its actions and inactions surrounding the pipeline project. In other words, if you just already approved what the corporation wanted, instead of worrying about if the thing is going to leak and it's going to destroy the water, whose land it is, who cares about any of that?
Yeah.
We got money to make, so I'm going to put it on President Obama for not immediately approving the permit, and I want my money for that.
So let's think about this in broader terms, because you as a citizen who might be a property owner has to go through so many obstacles just to make an addition to your home, right? You got to take out the proper permits. They got to make an examination. There's zoning laws. Every little thing that you want to do to your own property needs to be examined by the government. They have to approve it. But when it comes to a corporation dealing with something like oil, which we've had severe problems with in terms of, you know, tainting our drinking water or leading to leaks in our oceans and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. We don't have to do the proper examinations to get these types of developments approved. They get to move forward because they have the resources and the campaign contributions on their side. They can go ahead and bribe any politician they want to get what they want approved without the proper tests in place.
So, and the rest of the media had the excuse of, well, I mean, there's a big, exciting election going on. I can't go out there and spend money in covering a protest in North Dakota. We have just one reporter in the field, and we sent him to North Dakota before the election anyway, okay? Because it's an important story. It involves so many different elements, right? So first of all, the Army Corps of Engineers might have broken the law by not preparing a full environmental impact statement. Then the Corps turns around and says, okay, look, but they're not allowed to drill. Then the company says, I'm going to drill anyway. Unbelievable defiance. And then they're crushing these protesters. And then there's video, we've got it on video, of an instigator who comes in with a rifle among the protesters. They never found any weapons among the protesters ever. The only guy they find, it turns out, is working for the Dakota Access Pipeline. And he's got ID from them, his car's insured by them, etc. But yet the press is like, well, I see no problems here. No, I can't be bothered. But think about this. Well, whenever it was a Tea Party protest, press swarms. Oh my God, the right wing is protesting. The right wing is so important. What do they want? Let's give it to them. What do they want? Let's cover it like there's no tomorrow, right? Oh, it's the actual American citizens with no power protesting. Oh, they have no power. Why would we cover it? The disdain of the mainstream media it's so gross, and it drips from their mouths every time they will dismissively talk about violent protesters when there is no evidence of that. You guys are supposed to be reporters. Don't you have any shame at all? You know, by the way, where are they getting that talking from? They're getting it directly from the CEO of this company. Here, let's go to video 7 here. Here's Warren again.
What happens to the protesters at that point? I mean, the ones that I've spoken to said that they are not going anywhere and that they are building shelters for the winter and they're going to wait this out.
The people of the state of North Dakota are generally wonderful people, law-abiding, nonviolent people, and they're trying to go about their lives. This has been such a disruption to that state. This is not a peaceful protest, so if they want to stick around and continue to do what they're doing, great, but we're building the pipeline.
Wait, how is it not a peaceful protest? And he's like, oh, the good people of North Dakota, their lives have been disrupted. What are you talking about? We've been there. There's nothing around there. It's not like there's a shopping mall there. It's not like there's houses around there. No, all there is the reservation and then now the protest of your pipeline. The only thing that has been disrupted is your profits. This guy's worth $3.9 billion. But no, he's got to get to $4.1 billion. So he's going to take those peaceful protesters and smear them. What happened? I thought Donald Trump talked about how we got to change the libel laws. You know, you just called a bunch of people they're non-peaceful when, in fact, they've been perfectly peaceful. Are we going to go to court over that? No, I got to make more money. I got to make more money. So and he says, they will not stop our project. That's naive. They're not stopping our project. The disdain that they have for the rest of us is immeasurable. So check out more on TYT Politics. Jordan's been covering it for a long time. There are a lot of great videos showing what's actually going on the ground. Also, Wes Clark, one of our hosts here, is headed out to Standing Rock with veterans. He's going to go out there to the Standing Rock Indian Reservation with Michael Wood Jr. He's a former Baltimore cop who's been on our show, and hundreds of veterans in support of Sioux Nation. How badass is that? That is super cool. Now, they are adamantly nonviolent, of course, and they just want to say, hey, these are the veterans who fought for freedom abroad. They want freedom here in this country as well, and they are going to fight against injustice as they have, as they were U.S. troops, and now as U.S. citizens, they're going to fight against injustice. And in order to help out with all those hundreds of veterans that are going to be able to sleep there in the cold and under really tough conditions, they set up a GoFundMe page. That's gofundme.com/veterans for Standing Rock No DAPL. But we'll have that link below. So go check it out. These guys are warriors for peace and justice. If you want, go join them out there and help in any way that you can, because the media is not coming to help. Unfortunately, the local government and the cops are not coming to help, and soon the federal government will literally be in the bag for them. We need independent media to make sure that we hold corporate media accountable. The people that can make that happen is you. You make the Young Turks possible. tytnetwork.com/join. Join us. Be the revolution.